So, kind of an example we give here is, we have this data coming through and I want to share this within our group, right? Someone says another business unit within my organization would also like to, handle that data potentially. So let's say that I want to, first encrypt it before I send it to them. So I can interact with this palette up in the top left just to kind of show where that happened from again. There are a few options up here that have different components to interact with my system. This one left here is processor, so I can click and drag this over here. And I get a list of, different components. There's about 115 currently that kind of come stock with NiFi. In this case, I'm looking for encryption. So I can start typing for encrypt, and I'll see that there's encrypt content processor. So if I add that to my graph, I have, a new component here that's carrying out new functionality. So there's not always a one-to-one mapping between a processor and an application or a service. Sometimes it's just some functionality, right? Look at the Twitter one, even though it's talking to some service, its functionality is to just bring Twitter messages into the flow. We don't necessarily care about the abstraction that brings them to that point. So, it's not exactly an application per se, but, some kind of functionality associated there too. And so I can start teeing some information off here. So I want to take these things that match, that have, these tweets as anticipated, and send things over here. And you'll see that data is already starting to queue up here. And so going back to how things are structured, what we're getting is clones of the flow files. They're going down two different paths, right? So I have data coming in, and then it's getting sent to two locations. But they both point to the same content. Again, do your heavy lifting up front, and then exploit the fact that I've done that. And so what I'm doing is I'm just making kind of copies of these pointers and sending down different paths. I can then interact with this and start dealing with the properties, right? So encrypt, there's a couple different options in how this is handled. I can have an encrypt and a decrypt mode for this particular processor, have different encryption algorithms associated with it, things like that. But of course I want to use like a pre-shared key instead of passwordless. So I'll make a very secure password, apply that to the processor, and then I can hit apply here. And so now I've set this up, and you'll see some of the kind of real-time feedback that happens is there's still this little yellow yield sign. Text is a little small on the TV here, but it's saying that there's a couple of relationships that aren't accounted for. If this processor processes something and wants to send something down there, how should I handle those? And so I want to send this to another organization. Maybe they're using Kafka, for instance. So I can look for a Kafka processor. So I have one here that says get, one here that says put. So I'd like to put to it, send to a particular topic. And so things are successfully encrypted. I'll send over here to Kafka. And then things that fail, I'll retry again. It probably shouldn't happen, but just in case it does, maybe there's some kind of weird hiccup, we'll take care of that here. And so now that little yellow yield sign that was on this encrypt content processor turns into this red square, which means that everything's good to go, it's just not running. So I can start running this when I'm ready to handle it. But one of the other things to highlight then, again, this is kind of a test process. This is not configured right now. I don't have the credentials, but I kind of want to stub it out so it's ready to go. And so I can control that kind of connection level properties in terms of how it's handling the information that's going through there. And this gets to the idea of back pressure and the pressure release. I can say that, all right, I'm willing to buffer, let's say 10 seconds of information in this connection while I'm waiting for you to receive it. And for some reason that Kafka, topic goes down, or there's issues with that infrastructure because they're still kind of getting things set up, I will hold no more than that in this particular connection. And the framework will take care of purging those things out so I don't bring the system down. Additionally, I might also want to then prioritize information that the newest flow file in gets sent through first. I'm doing streaming stuff, so things that are older towards the tail end might not be as important to me. So let me prioritize those first. And so these are configuration on a per connection basis, just for this one segment of the flow. The rest of those copies of these flow files are going down the normal path as they're originally created. And so with that said, I can apply this, and I can start my encrypt content processor. You'll see here that there's information that's been buffered here, ready to go. I can run this guy. And so these numbers start getting worked off. Encrypt content starts doing its thing, sending data through here, and I start queuing this information up. I'm getting ready to go. And so I can let this run with being fully assured that the framework's going to take care of not letting this grow without bounds, right? No more than 10 seconds of information is going to be here at any point in time queued up to go to that particular destination.